What's up, guys? Thanks for being here if you're on the live stream. Today, I really have a good friend, Brian Finnerty. Brian and I became friends probably like 2 months ago, but like our call, Brian's the CEO of, is that the right CEO or president? Well, how would you say that for
Whatever,
V1?
dude that
He's
has to make
everything.
decisions and
He's the
doesn't
top
get any
dog,
respect.
yeah, of V1 Sports. And we like seriously talked for probably like what 2.5 hours that day, but only like 45 minutes of it was on the show. Where's Buddies? He's cool as hell. Anyways, then when we were talking, he was like, "Hey, I have another brand," and I was like, "Seriously?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's called Galway Bay. Is it Galway or Galway?" I say, "Yeah."
Galway
I
Bay.
was like, I was
Yeah.
like an Irish person.
Yeah, Galway.
Galway Bay. Um,
I was
and
like Australian.
is that what all my accents are the same, so it's okay. Um, so it's really cool because he has another brand. I was like, I gotta come back and talk about it. And yeah, so today we're gonna talk. This is episode 58. I always forget, as you guys know, of Behind the Golf Brand podcast. And I have my friend Brian Finnerty, who is the CEO also of Galway Bay.
Bingo.
Welcome to the show again.
Great to be here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Coffee in hand.
So, what made you buy another? Not buy, but what made you invest in Galway Bay? I guess first of all, what is Galway Bay? For people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's in a very simple form. It's outerwear you want to wear. Um, we've all been around. If you played any golf, and not on a beautiful sunny day like I'm sitting here in Michigan looking at, but that nasty day that you planned on a Saturday with your buddies for a while and it rains, not hard, but you want to get after it. Maybe it does rain hard. You put on some oversized jacket that didn't fit. You pulled on a pair of golf condom pants and cinched the top. Fumbled through. You said I could say anything.
You could you want,
You
I don't care.
fumbled through the side and try to find your tees and ball markers. So yeah, in 2010/11, Terry Prilliman, who was the original founder, designed a pair of pants that you could wear that literally just look like nice golf slacks. They're really nice, actually, but they're 100% waterproof. And then he made a lined version of that so you could play on a really cold, nasty day. And those were the two flagship products in 2011. And it was this cool underground swell of, we love it. Can you do a jacket? Can you do a vest? Um, I met Terry in 2015, and he was kind of at this point, I think, like a lot of small startup companies are, that what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a cool little garage band, or do you want to kind of go on tour? And Terry, being in his mid 60s, said, look, I can see the brand going in big places. I'm not just sure that I want to be the guy doing it. So I got together with him, and we put together a fund to invest in the company, let him take some chips off the table, which rightfully so he was able to do, still keep him involved as an owner. And then we had some capital to grow the business. And specifically, we took investors in that, number one, had a passion for golf, and whether it be in marketing or finance, had some connections to the industry. That's typically kind of my MO. I like to
Mm-hmm.
get strategic investors and guys and gals that just love to run with it. So that was in 15, and here we're in 2021. We've won the My Golf Spy Award back to back to back, 18, 19, 20, against some really big brands. And I just think we're doing cool things in the industry. Again, we've got pants that you can wear. You wear a belt that you can wear them into the clubhouse after you play. If it never rained, you'd look sharp, and if it totally poured on you, you'd be dry. So that's kind of our gear, is that it's outerwear you want to wear. But most importantly, it's a very technical company. As we talked about, even with V1, I enjoy technology. And to me, it had to be something that looked sharp, breathable, usable. I'd want to wear it to a U of N football game. I wouldn't mind wearing it into the clubhouse after a round of golf. And I didn't want it just to get stuffed in the side of a golf bag. So if you look at Galway Bay, we're different because number one, we don't suggest that it's something you shove in your golf bag and use when it rains. It's something that you'd say, I'm going out to play today and it might be a little bit nasty. I want to put on the best stuff. That's kind of our deal.
I mean, so how did you meet him? Was it like at an event, or was it like just friends, or same
Uh,
circles, or what was that?
yeah. So one of my good friends who lives in Minnesota, Wisconsin actually, connected through our golf clubs. He had met Terry at an outing, and then Terry came to Detroit to play at another outing. I got a chance to meet him. And the first year we knew each other, had nothing to do with investment. It was, I've got this company and I just don't know what to do with it. So would you, he asked me if I'd essentially mentor him, right? That might be an overstatement, but just give me some advice. And so I spent a year with Terry. We talked every single week, laid out a business plan, helped
Oh,
him kind of hold him accountable to executing off the plan. He almost doubled that year, first year that he had doubled since he started the company. And I think for him, it was, wow, this is not going it alone has some value. And that's then we built some trust together. And I think from there, he's like, hey, if I was going to raise some money, I'd love for you to be involved. Who should we get? Like, number one, the guys you met up in Wisconsin would be a great start. And then let's kind of build the group out of that. So I won't say it was super easy, but it was pretty simple.
wow. So he just came up. So like, did he ask you to help him out, like to be his mentor ish, like, or that's just kind
Yeah.
of your natural
We were friendly. I
person?
just, much like you and I started our last conversation, we start shooting the breeze, and it, my style is either going to resonate with you or you're probably going to run for the hills as fast as you can.
Yeah.
I'm a huge servant leader guy, and whatever information that I may have gleaned from great people that have shared it with me, I love to pass that on. I'm an abundance thinker, so I don't believe that, Paul, if your company's doing awesome, then mine must be doing bad. I believe we both can do great. There's always enough market share. I don't think we have to step on each other and slit each other's throats to get there. And that's my mentality. And it's not one big, warm, fuzzy hug. There's some reality in that. That if you have a really crappy product, there may be no future for it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
with what Terry had really come up with, and he's a super bright guy, the fact that he cared about the technical fabric side of it really resonated with me. And I think he could tell that my passion for golf and the fact that I'm not a fair weather golfer. So I do play on crappy, windy, rainy days. I do actually enjoy, while other guys are bitching about, wet grips and I can't believe we're out here playing. Probably harkens
That
back
sounds
to
like
my,
fun to me, man. Because I play in the
it's,
hot ass sun, and I'll
yeah,
play. I'll almost die, but like I enjoy it. It's like I don't know.
it goes back to my pro soccer days, right? I think at the end of the day, you can either, thrive in an environment or complain about it. And we all know who ends up winning games most of the time. It's the guys who look for those opportunities. So the same thing went, and Terry had that mantra. So I think we just kind of clicked.
Yeah.
And honestly, the first year I didn't charge him a consulting fee. It wasn't like, hey, let me take you on as a client. Um, it was just, hey, I'm a guy who's been in sports tech for a long time. I'm an avid golfer, so you're not going to have to tell me how nice it is to wear something that has four-way flex that breathes. You're not sweating your cojones off when you wear it. Didn't have to convince me of any of that. So I think for him it was a really easy fit, and he just loved having his hands in the dough. And from a entrepreneurial point of view, those are the guys that I love when they're vested, they've got cash in the deal. It isn't like, hey, I've got a great idea and I raised a bunch of money from other people, and if it doesn't work out, no
Yeah,
skin off my
whatever.
nose. No, he was all in, so it was very cool.
So did he start the brand himself? Like
He
back
did.
what year did he when did he start it?
2010 was the first year that he kind of garage started it. So he found a supplier in Atlanta to kind of make, I think, 50, 60 pairs of pants, gave them to his buddies, did a bunch of trim this, thin this down, make this bigger, all that stuff. And then in 11, he got a production company both in the States and in China. And then by 15, when I met him, I think they were doing 1,000 or 1,500 pairs a year. And that was the year that we kind of moved from shipping out of a small little office in Alpharetta, Georgia, to moving to a distribution center. One of our partners owns a very large marketing firm, deals with Ford and Pepsi and those kind of big brands. We really just moved right into the limelight. But yeah, when he started, it was
Like a
just,
real brand, not like a hobby brand.
it was
Which
a
is
hobby
not
brand. Yep.
yeah, and that's not a bad thing, right? It's just that
It's a
like
great thing.
it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money to bridge that gap, like
But you can go lean and mean in when you're a hobby brand. I mean, he was driving to trade shows, going to the section event in South Carolina on
yeah.
knowing it was going to rain that weekend. So he was, I mean, Terry gets a ton of credit for starting this thing up. And then by
That's
about
no, yeah, it's
2000,
awesome.
yeah, by 2018, he had said, all right, I've kind of done what I wanted to do with this and I'm open to being bought out. which we did. A nice send off for him, and I then took the majority of his shares and became the managing partner of the company. So, yeah, been a win-win for everybody, I'd say.
That's freaking so cool. That's kind of like the Cinderella story, right? When you're a brand, you're like, oh, hopefully someday. Well, here's all this is what I think, right? So people think, oh, I want this to be my full-time job, right?
Yep.
Which is a big. If you can make that your full-time job, you must have like a sugar mommy, right, or a sugar daddy, because, like, people always go, oh, when are you gonna go full? When are you gonna go full time? Like, never. I don't know. Like, seriously. I mean, I'm able to grow quickly because I'm able to reinvest every penny I make, right? But if you're
Yep.
using it to live off of, you're not able to reinvest it, which I think accelerates growth. But that's a hard leap, to make it your full time gig and to really focus. I don't know, that energy on that.
Yeah, but you
So
you just you hit the nail on the head. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have the latitude to reinvest in the company without having to take it out, so you can make a mortgage payment or a car payment or whatever. When I'm looking at other companies, for founders that are in this spot, when they're generating cash flow, I want to see every dime going back in the company. And when they've said, "Hey, I kind of burned the boats at the shore, and this is all I've got," that's a little concerning to me. Unless they're on some crazy hockey stick trajectory. But for those that mostly are doing organic growth, when a guy says, "Hey, I can only give 25 to 30 hours a week because I have to spend 10, 15, 20 hours doing this to pay the bills," I'm like, that's totally cool, right? Let us give you capital to go grow that, and ultimately then come to a decision point of, I think it's
I wish I
time.
could say
I think
that.
I think it's time to go full time and roll into this thing.
That's like me. Everyone's like, "How many hours do you spend on it?" I'm like, "I don't even know." Like, if you could add how many hours you actually put into it, then you're not putting enough time into it. It's my opinion.
Yeah, you're
Because,
probably making
like,
like $1 an hour.
yeah, like, seriously, when my kids go to bed, I'm up working on it. I'm moving before I go to work in the morning. I just do it when I have these little gaps of time. But it's like,
Yeah,
I think you have to. I mean, I'm on year 3, right? But my whole
wow.
thing was like long term, right? So, like, that was always like, it was fun that turned into like, oh, I should. It's nice when you can do it the right way starting out, right? So you're not like
Yeah.
trying to like make a quick buck or something like that. Um, so that gives you the more flexibility. But I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm willing to lose money on stuff. I don't, yeah, it sucks. What are you gonna do? But that's how you learn. I
Yep.
saw something this weekend. Like, I was talking about a, a very large brand came out to Arizona and had me do a bunch of videos with them. Right, they paid me to do it, and which was really cool. It was like a big step for me. And um, we were talking about that same thing where it's like, the only way you really learn in life is through failure. That's what I feel like. You might get some you get some wins, you might learn something, but I feel like if you fail at something, you go, nope, never doing that, or I should
Yep.
readjust, but that's like the story of an entrepreneur, right? Like, you don't, you really gotta be willing to take those risks. A lot of people don't want to do that.
A lot of people don't even know what a win looks like. I mean, we can go deep on this too, but
No, we
I can't
can't. We
tell you
got
how many
freaking
people.
time, man.
I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that. I'm in 100% agreement that you learn the most from your failures if you know what a win would have looked like, right? So if you don't know what the win looks like, failure then ends up just being something somebody hands you, and you know it after the fact. If you knew you were going to do, let's say, a deal with PGA Tour Superstores, and you invested $100,000 in, I'll use our brand, right?
I know
$100,000
Randy
into,
over there.
and
You know Randy?
yeah, they're
Sorry.
V1 were in every one of their stores, super friendly
Dude,
with
Randy's
us.
awesome as hell, man. Randy's like the nicest guy. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, top down, right? You take Arthur Blank all the way down. It
Oh yeah,
always
that
starts at the
company's
top.
legit. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. So, but what I will tell you is, if we'd invested $100,000 to get into retail, which Galway Bay is a direct to consumer brand, but had we done that and knew we were going to spend it, and at the end of the day did not get the account, then we know that we blew through 100 grand that we could have used somewhere else. That's a loss. That's a total L. But we knew
Mhm.
what we were going to get, versus just sort of willy nilly spending a bunch of money and hoping you get somewhere. And then you go, well, we didn't get that account, or we didn't get this account. You don't really learn anything if you didn't understand where you were supposed to be in the first place. So I think it does start with, what do you want to be, and where do you want to go? And yeah, if you have to course correct and or take a hit and not get there, if you're not learning, then
Oh, I learned a
you're
lot
gonna be out
this
of
year.
business pretty quick.
I learned so much this year. I mean, I learned a lot. Okay, here's some stories. Like when I first made my website, I learned so much because I broke it so many times. When I say break, I mean like bad, right? And so it's like now you have to figure it out, but you have no money, right? Because you're not making any
Right.
money. So now you got to just figure it out. And then with, last year I started doing e-com a little bit with my own brand, and that's a whole other ball of wax. I didn't know anything about it, and I spent a ton of money. And could I put that back into like the other site? Yeah, I could have, but now I know a ton about e-com, and I also have a better
Yep.
respect for these smaller brands. E-com's really, really, really hard, like
Oh,
that, and it's so doggy dog, and anybody could be an e-com person. I mean, really, just go buy something at
yeah, we
Alibaba.
live there, so I hear you. Feel your pain for sure.
So did he come to you and be like, "Hey, I want you to mentor me," or did you just like say, "Hey, do you need help?"
It probably a blend. I mean, there was definitely an ask. Hey, do you have time? Will you spend some time with me? And I think we may have talked about this in the last show, but I had just sold another company, totally unrelated to sports tech, cell phone insurance company, and I
Yeah,
was taking a
your
year
favorite.
off.
That's your favorite area. I
I
know.
know, it's like the slimiest of all.
That's
Couldn't
another
run away.
thing. Do not go into cell phone insurance,
Oh
guys. That's what I've
no,
learned.
yeah. So I learned a ton there, um, and so much so that I needed to take a year off just to get my life back together, as my wife would openly admit.
So draining,
Um,
I bet, when you're so
it's just draining, and
miserable.
you're not around people that are joyful and thankful and humble and fun. It's none of that, and it's just a really dark industry. That being said, came out of that in 15, learned a lot, took a year off. So during that time, I wasn't going to work every day, and that was a perfect timing spell that Terry said, "Hey, if you've got time, can we just hop on a call once a week and help me build a plan and then hold me accountable to it?" Because he's a one man band. So he had nobody to even, like his wife's like, she didn't know what was going on.
No, she's
So,
busy. Yeah, it's like a normal
so
person.
he basically just said, look, just hold me accountable. And I think if any of us were coaching our kids or coaching a team, who do we say is the most coachable player? A player that says, give me
Who
advice and
asks?
hold me accountable. Not if they're a superstar, not if they score 15 goals. It's the player that says, give me advice and hold me accountable. Okay. And that's exactly what Terry asked. So, like, sure. We set up a call once a week. It was Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock. We literally spent, I think, 52 weeks on the phone, a couple of trips back and forth between Atlanta and Detroit, played some golf, did, day long planning sessions once a quarter. And yeah, kind of the rest is history. But it was great because I got to know the investment clearly. I got to live it for a year. So I knew where every skeleton was buried. I knew the opportunities that were in front of us. I knew some of the things that didn't work. Um, it was much easier to go raise money when I could talk to the other investors and say,
Yeah,
"Look,
when
guys,
you're
I've
not.
been in
Yeah,
this for a year.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Even
not.
though,
I'm not
yeah.
guessing." So it was easier.
Um. So Brian, you want to mentor me?
Hey, if you want to go on that ride, let's do it. But you
I'm
may be
I
like,
I'm not kidding around, man. I'm ready. Let's do this.
let's
Um.
roll it.
So it's really funny though. Like I've been interviewed by other podcasts, and they're like, "How did you start? How'd you do whatever?" And to me, that was like my mentor early on in this world is somebody that does nothing with golf. It was somebody I'd met in a Facebook group, right?
Yep.
And he's a very large influencer in gardening, like huge, huge, huge. He is. He was pretty big then, but now he's like huge. But like I asked him the same thing. I met with him. I asked him the same thing, which I'm asking you now. And I was like, hey, we had coffee one day, and I was on vacation. And I knew he lived in San Diego. I went and saw him, and I said the same thing. I was like, hey, I was really excited, right? I was like, oh yeah, it's influencer. And so I'm like, hey, check out my website. You know what he did for 3 hours? He ripped my website apart. He told me how bad it was. He told me about a million different things, right? And when I left that meeting, I was not expecting that. I was like, oh my God. And when someone actually takes time to tell you what's wrong with something, that means they care, right?
That's right.
Enough to tell
That's right.
you, like that's a huge deal. So that and so he's like, if you really want to do this, man, this is what you need to do, right? And I was like, okay. And that's the thing. I asked him like an hour. I texted him. I was like, hey, thanks for coffee. Would you mentor me? And he's like, oh, I can't. I'm too busy. I was like, okay, fine. And then like 5 minutes later, text me back again. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. So I was like, but that was like the moment. I look at my trajectory, like that was like, all slow. And then it was like, boom, because I could go to him and say, should I do this? No. Should I do that? Yes. Don't spend money on that. Like these little things
Yep.
that really help grow your brand. All right, I got some questions for you that are not mine. Okay.
Do it.
This is the cool part about about the live podcast is that people have really good questions. This is why let me tell you guys right now. I like this live version because I have my own questions. I'll hang out, whatever. But then when I have other people like participate, then like they have really good questions that I think the audience wants to know. Okay.
Yeah.
So my buddy Corey, what's the starting price range for Galway Bay gear?
I'll go sort of top end retail. There's obviously times that there's sales, or if we're moving into a next iteration of a product, we'll do a warehouse sale or something. But
Yeah.
the pants run about $199, and the jackets $299. So
It's like normal price.
we're
Like,
not Galway. I
yeah.
mean, we're not Galvin Green up in the 500s, but we're definitely not going to be your Adidas cheapy jacket or some off brand.
You have the
We
logo
we
on
fit
it.
that. Yeah, we fit that good strata in the middle that someone says I actually do care about my gear and I'm willing to spend for it.
Yeah, you're not like Rolls Royce expensive, super like, but you're like it's affordable enough where it's like if it's a tool as part of your bag, right, or part of
Well,
your
when you think
gear
about it,
too.
if we were going to be in a retail environment, if you just use the general Keystone principle, which is you got to mark it up 100%, you take a $299 jacket, it suddenly becomes almost a $600 jacket. That doesn't change our dynamics at all. That's going to the retailer. So when you look at prices in the store, you really have to start, number one, cut it in half, and then start looking at the real price. And that's why for us at 299, we'd say we know we're delivering a crap ton of value to the end user because we're going straight to them. And that's resonated with
Yeah,
people. And
that's
we
what people
we
don't
tell that story.
understand. Yeah, right. Like people don't understand that when you see prices online, that's cheaper than what it would be in retail because retail takes 50%. I'm telling you right now, or more.
Yep. If
Right,
you're
so you
if you're
got to
going to the
double whatever you
source,
see online.
that's right. Yep.
Like
So
I didn't
it's an
realize
important
that.
part. Yeah.
So
So
that's why
it's
gloves are $25 because if they go retail, it's $12.50, right? But how much do you
golf
think they're
balls the
buying the
same.
glove for, right? Like cut it in
Yeah,
half again. They're probably buying it at $7 or $8 or $10. Same thing with hats. You know what I mean? Like it's just
for
the
sure.
retailer has to get their 100% essentially.
And for what they
Or
do, they deserve it, right? They've
yeah,
got
because they
brick
have
and
all the
mortar, they've
risk,
got risk,
right?
they got employees, they've got marketing and overhead. So I'm not knocking the retailers
Not
at
at
all.
all.
They
That's just
they
the way it
get it.
works for everything we buy.
That's right.
Food, clothes, doesn't matter. Like there's
Yep.
that's
So we
that's
just we're direct. We're a direct brand, and that has worked well for us. Again, we're coming up with innovations in product that we can do in 3 to 6 months that may take other brands because of their size
2
two
years.
2.5 years. Right, exactly. They get into
Well,
production cycles because of their volume and that they need to be in retail. I mean, just getting into a retail outlet adds 9 months onto your production cycle. Think about that. That's pretty crazy that your
yeah,
product
you
was
gotta
ready to
know
go
9
almost a
months ahead of
year,
time what you're gonna make and
and you had to
buy it
sell it 4 months before
and
that.
sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, that's probably off topic from
No, it's
the
not. This
original
is
question, but yeah,
you're one of the
that's
smartest
that's
guys
how
I
we fit.
know, for reals. Like,
Uh,
this dude's legit.
I'm just a goalkeeper.
No, you weren't. You were a goalkeeper, but you're smart. This guy played professional soccer, so he's a really good goalie. And his kids go to what? Michigan? Michigan State? Where do they go?
Michigan,
Michigan State.
Michigan, and Caltech. Yep.
Wow. All right, here's another question for you. Um, when you say water repellent coating, does that mean it's 100% waterproof, or does that mean something else?
Depends on the. So if you look at our vests, it's water repellent coating because it's not waterproof. So water will shed off, but obviously if you put it in and underwater, it's not going to be. But if you any of our outerwear is 100% waterproof. So wherever
If
it
it gets
says
wet, it will fall on the ground. It will not
that's
soak
right.
through and keep you wet.
Yeah, if you go to galwaybaygolf.com, there's a lot of really good video imagery of
Yeah.
people getting hammered with water, and you can see it from a super close up view, a far away view. It's just
I do
I
that
wore it to a
definitely.
University of Michigan football game 2 years ago, and it probably rained 2 inches in about 20 minutes. Water was literally pouring down the stairs. Um, I had my Galway Bay jacket on. Another guy had a zero restriction golf jacket. The rain stopped. It was like a huge thunderstorm stopped. I unzipped my jacket. I had on a yellow shirt or maize, right, to be appropriate for University of Michigan. If you'd have seen a drop of water, it would look dark. It was completely dry. The other guy was freaking soaked through. His jacket, literally every seam had soaked through. So yeah, our stuff just works.
It's like a tent, right? Like tents are waterproof, but they're not. What's the difference? Water repellent.
Water repellent.
But if
Yeah.
it rains a ton, then it's probably gotta like go through the seams or whatever. But you guys won't. I'm just
Yeah. The true
um
test is, can you put water in a seam and hold it there, right? Like a little cup
that's
or
the
a bowl.
key. Yeah.
Because anybody can pour water I mean, I could do it with my Lululemon pants, right? I can pour water against it, it's gonna fall off, but that's just gravity and the way the knit material lays. When you turn it sideways and put water there, it'll bead and then soak in, that's the difference.
So you're saying that like if you one thing that's really cool at Galway Bay is that like the sweat will get out, right? So it doesn't turn into like a Dutch
Hot
oven.
box.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
not the joke Dutch oven. I know what you guys are thinking. Um
Even gases exit the membrane.
so anyways, just Google it if you don't know what that is. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Um so then all the like you're not hot and sweaty and like muggy when you're wearing it, right? Like that's so freaking cool.
Yeah, that took a long time because the original fabric back in 2010 and 11 was a one directional. It shed water like nobody's business, but didn't breathe. And that's one of the things we spent a lot of time. It's called Hydro-Flex 32. It's 3 layers, but breathes two-way.
It's
We just felt
crazy.
like that was the most important. And it's a hard technology to do because it's, number one, it's very expensive, super technical in nature. You can't just slap stuff together. There's a lot of care, and quite frankly, there's only 3 or 4 places in the world that can do it. So getting into those production cycles, making sure you understand the thickness of materials, what's the feel like on the inside. I mean, the things that not many people think about until they actually put it on. But to your point, hey, it just rained on me in Michigan, but it's 71 degrees. Okay, what do I do now? Right? Or it's
Now
raining
you're
off and
hot.
on,
I
but
hate that feeling too when you're all hot
yeah,
and sweaty and then like
nope. So you
yeah.
you would not you'd not be sticking on the inside to our gear.
So what colors do you guys usually come with? Is it like black and blue? These are all questions people are asking.
Yeah, I mean, black and gray is pretty standard, I think, in the industry. You try to stay neutral. We took a little bit of a leap of faith and did an Old Glory set, so kind of red, white, and blue. Red, or mostly blue with red trim and white accents. It was, for some people, best colorway jacket that they'd ever found, and others were like, I'm not really into that. I'm looking for something a little more neutral. We had some fun with it. We did it. So I think if you look at most neutral colors, it's going to be like our new set coming out in at the end of 21, starting 22. It's going to have some sage, black and sage, and then we're toying with some burnt orange accents. Just some things that kind of make the jacket and the pants fun, but still something that if you said, "Hey, I'm putting on a pair of jeans, I could wear this with it, and I don't have to worry about what's my
We'll
shirt going to
blend.
be." And
Yeah,
yeah,
it'll blend. Yeah.
that's our idea. Is it shouldn't be a jacket that you can only wear with one thing, because if that's
It
the
doesn't look
case,
European, let's put it that way. Right?
yeah,
Like Europeans like
the cut is
yeah.
looks,
But the
again, it's
coloring. Yeah,
the coloring is not going to be loud and flashy. Um, again, our brand is basically that it's outerwear you want to wear, not just one time or with one thing. So we use that as a North Star for us. Like, we really have to check ourselves to make sure that we're not doing something you go, whoa, that is that's a race car and we don't need one of those.
it's a race car.
A lot of guys like building race cars. They put something into
Yeah,
their
but you don't want to
product lineup.
wear it unless
That's right.
we hear a
That's
funny
that's
story. One time, I'm not gonna name the brand, but one time I did a shoe company and they were like, "Hey, please review these shoes." And I said, "Okay, fine." This is a long time ago. And they're a very European shoe company. They're a European brand, right?
yep.
And so I reviewed a shoe and I gave it to them before I published it. This is like a really long time ago. And they came back to me and they go, "Oh, can we change the pictures out?" I was like, "Why?" They're like, "Oh, we want to use our own pictures." I was like, "All right, fine, whatever." And so they like sent me some pictures, and I like every picture was like a European dude wearing their shoes, right? And I'm like, "We don't look like that in America, you know
Yep.
that, right?" Like,
Yep.
and they didn't care, but it was still kind of funny. But like, it was like I would never wear that, dude. Like that looks gross.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's so off-brand, right? So to in Europe, that to your point, that'd be a huge hit, but then that has to be your
Yeah,
audience.
like
But
in Europe, not like England or like Ireland or something,
to
but
ask
like
you to review
mainland
it,
Europe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was just
that's
funny. I
interesting.
just thought it was funny because it's like, you know what, dude? You gotta remember where you're coming from.
Yep,
Do you guys have a lot of sales in Europe, or does like Galvin Green have it locked down over there?
they're definitely the industry leader there, without a doubt. I mean, that's
Are
home
the
base for them.
I was talking to Tom, my buddy Tom. He's the GM for North America, and he said that like Galvin Green's the number one golf apparel brand in Europe, which I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
it wasn't marketing. He was like, no, like everything. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I also thought Galvin Green was from Ireland that day, which they're not. They're from what,
no,
like Sweden or something?
yep, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Talking about looking
they're
like a dumbass. I was like, oh yeah, you guys from Ireland? He's like, no, man, we're from Sweden.
they sell a lot in Ireland, but it's as they'll tell you, like he's in charge of North America. Until you get on board here in North America, getting things shipped over is expensive and timely. And again, that might work in
Oh,
retail
it's
where
all
they have a
close.
year in
Yeah.
advance. For us, we don't. So we do a lot of sales in Europe, but again, it's direct. And there are people that have said, hey, I understand there's going to be a 17% VAT tax. There's going to be shipping that's probably double what it would be in the States, but we love your gear and we want it. We actually do a lot of business with caddies in Ireland and England,
Oh yeah, I don't
ironically.
see why not, right? Like they want to
Yeah.
stay dry. And
Yeah.
you're
We played it.
affordable, right? Even at $299,
Right.
you're not $600, you know?
Yeah,
And that's like US. So imagine what it'd be like in English pounds, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, I love, yeah. So, what was the question? Someone asked me, what is the thickness of the jackets and especially the pants? Are line pants fairly thicker or are they like not as thick or are they all kind of the same thickness?
They're not the same. So the unlined pants are going to be probably less thick than a pair of, um, I hate to pick a brand, pick any golf slack. It's going to be the same,
Yeah.
right? They won't be thick like a knit pair of Lululemon pants for sure. They're going to be thinner than that. And our lined pants are going to be just probably a little bit thicker than the normal because the lining is actually just on the inside of that fabric. So it's not two pieces of independent fabric. It's
Yeah,
actually one
says I'm
fabric
thick.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, it just has a warm liner on the inside that goes all the way down to like 37 degrees Fahrenheit. And then up to, I'd be wearing those probably up into the high 40s. And then anything from kind of 45 to 70, I'd be I'd be wearing our unlined pant. And then north of 70, it just depends on, if you're playing on a
But
day
they
that's
look
just
like normal
nasty.
pants. They don't look like pants you put on over your pants, right?
Yeah, I probably should have worn a pair right now, but if I had them on and stood up,
Go change
you,
your clothes, come back.
you're so bossy. Uh, but yeah, I mean, they're like regular pants. So the thickness,
That's
I think you'd
crazy
say
though. That's so cool
super
because like
playable.
you don't have to carry that with you in your bag. Like it's like you're wearing a big garbage bag, and then you hit the garbage bag off and put it in your bag. It's like you're just wearing normal clothes, but you're not soaked. That's so
Yeah,
freaking
yep,
cool.
exactly.
Now you got to make some kind of shoe cover or something, maybe.
Yeah,
No, those are
we've got to
ugly.
we've got some base layer stuff that's going to be the expansion of our product line. So, as you'd imagine, people have our gear and they say, "Well, the jacket's great, but it got really cold," and I ended up putting on an insert brand here, something turtleneck
Yeah,
or some base layer. I'm getting this. Do you guys have base layer? Do you have base layer? So we spent this last year really designing a really nice functional set of base layers. So you could
that's
wear,
cool.
the long johns underneath. You could wear the base layer top under a golf shirt. Then with the jacket, we've got a zip up sort of like vest integrated into sleeves. I think we've taken a lot of consumer feedback from what they're looking for and done quite a bit of testing. This next iteration into our product lineup is going to be really exciting because again, it's just stuff that you'd wear. No one would look at you and say, oh, you're heading straight to a golf course to basically do battle with the elements. It's like, wow, that looks really sharp. It looks like something you'd wear out to, on a cool night in Scottsdale. You'd look really sharp. And at the same time, the next day, if it was, 48 degrees or 50 degrees, like it gets in the, desert sometimes, you'd be wearing this stuff out to play golf and then unzip and down to a base layer below. So
So the base layer, is that like a layer in itself, or would it be like a layer where it's zipped in to the jacket?
it's a layer in itself. So it's
That's cool.
basically a thermal layer that you'd wear either standalone under a quarter zip, jacket or a quarter zip top, or under a golf shirt, and then you'd put the jacket on top of that. So it's kind of a way to layer in, the old adage, wear layers, not one heavy garment. It follows that very technical, it'll keep you warm. It'll all be breathable. We follow that mantra. So you're not going to put it on and feel like, oh my God, I just stepped into a sauna. Um, we want to make sure that you're warm but playable.
Do they fit true to size, or is it a little bigger?
No, it's true to size. So if you're, I'm an XL, and XL fits me exactly like a performance jacket. So I don't need to go bigger or smaller. We really spend a lot of time, and it is sized for the US. So going back to the European question, we have a European sizing chart because that is different. How guys want the clothes to fit there. I'm generalizing a bit, but they want it to fit differently. We've specifically made it in the US to say, here's how our brands fit here. We consider being in the American market. This is what we consider comfortable and, size appropriate. It's dialed into exactly that.
So
Hey,
somebody asked, yeah, cool. This
that's
is what's cool
sweet.
about the live stream. This thing's
Hey,
freaking cool. I love this, right? So like
yeah,
you
I
guys can see
love
the
it.
website if you're on. So this is Brian acting, by the way.
Oh God. No, that's a guy we paid that looks 1,000 times better than I do.
He's all buff and like really good. Yeah, I don't look like that. See how cool that jacket is? That's a cool jacket. Jacket's cool. I'd wear that jacket.
No,
Is it just for men or is it women too?
it's just for men. So that's been probably our next place of conquest to talk about that. The challenge, and I go back to our first part of our conversation, is you can't be everything to everybody. I think too many businesses try to do that. So we know that
Yeah.
we've still got a long way to go just in the men's outerwear market. So for us, we refocus every dollar we make back into the men's apparel side. And until we say, hey, we're crushing it there, then
Yeah,
we'll
that jacket
start
was
talking
cool.
about the next.
These look cool. I mean, I'd wear it. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys did send me some.
they're not overstated, right? That's kind of the idea. That's got a little bit of an accent. You're going to look sharp, but it isn't something that you're screaming in on two wheels saying, look at me on a golf course.
See, the regular pants, you guys. Like you would never know that they're regular pants, right? Like ever.
Probably our number one most answered question, even though the website, well, clearly the website doesn't do a good job of answering this if this is a question, but it's like, but where are the rain pants? It's like, no, this is it. Well, I see the slacks on there, but no, the fabric is technical. It looks sharp. That's what it should be.
I would have worn different shoes in these pictures. Though. There's like old man shoes. Just saying.
Well, yeah,
Did
that's
you
a
ever tell that
marketing
guy?
company decision.
Just that looks like old nurse's outfit shoes. You gotta get rid of those shoes. Hey, oh, did you not want my opinion? Sorry. I mean, these are freaking cool. Okay, so when you think that's the hard part, right? Because if you're gonna switch your energy and start trying to make women's clothing too, now it's a whole other ball of wax. For right now, I mean, in the future, you probably will once you start having more market share and stuff like that. But it's like you can't go in a million directions at once. That's the problem, right? I learned that too. I was like, I'm gonna make shirts, right? Everybody remembers this. I made shirts. I have lots of shirts. But I was like, oh, I don't make women's shirts. So now I gotta make women's shirts. And it's like, I know nothing about women's fashion. I know zero, right? I guess my wife, but she would never wear a golf shirt. She doesn't even play golf.
Yep.
So that's the hard part, like you gotta be good at one thing before you move to the next.
That's a philosophy, right? I mean, some people would argue the opposite and, put your toe in a lot of different buckets of water and see what's, where it sticks. We just know we have traction here, and we've got a ways to go until we can say we're really dominating the market. And then at that point, yeah, I would never rule out that we'll do women's stuff. Our the design company we use now is work with a lot of really big, classy women's brands. So they've already started to get us thinking about, hey, when you guys want to go there, we have some really good ideas.
That's
But
cool.
then you're doubling the product line, you're doubling the design efforts. I mean, there's a lot
There's
that
no
goes into
guarantee
that.
you're gonna sell it.
You said it before. It's a different market. Like men tend to be function over fashion for the most part, right? I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's got to have some good
You can't
brand,
go
and if
wrong
it
with black and white with dudes,
yeah,
right?
but if
Like,
it looked great and it sucked and it leaked, they're not going to buy it. And if it's a
no.
big garbage bag and it was 100% waterproof, but it didn't let you play golf, you're not going to buy it. So, we're sticking to that stitching, if you will.
That's cool. The Old Glory's cool, the red and blue.
I love the Old Glory, me personally, but the white
It
one
looks
is
really
really,
cool.
really sharp. That's a little blend of a European look.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it's not
got
like in your face European.
no,
That's the
it's not.
cool
It's
thing.
just from a clean lines and like, hey, this looks
Yeah, I'd wear
really
that.
sharp and classy, right?
Yeah, that's a cool shirt. Well, if they have the name right above the shoulder, that looks very European too, that kind of style. And the
Yeah.
patches. Um, let's see. Somebody asked a really good question. They said, "How would you change consumer mindset to pick Galway Bay over like Nike or Under Armour for base layers?" That's a really good
How would
question.
I? That's a great question. How would I change mindset?
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of any kind of product really to try because the big boys have all the money and the
Yeah,
market share
what
or
I
whatever.
what I would say is if for most people, this is again, there's sort of this risk of universal statements in apparel doesn't work because my body type is different than yours, different than somebody else. We're all different. I would say for the most part, the care that we've taken to make sure that it fits a golfer's designed application. We're not designing base layer to go cycling, right? We're not designing base
Yeah,
layer to make sure you're comfortable when you go fly fishing. Um,
you could.
I, it works, don't get me wrong, but Adidas and
Yeah,
Nike, they sell it in the golf department. But trust me, when you go over the running group, aside from the thumb hole in the garment, it's the same exact garment. So yes, you're
yeah.
getting a good fabric. I mean, they get access to some of the best fabrics in the world, but they're not the most expensive. They're not the most technical because that doesn't give them the best margins. Their business model is fantastic. I mean, you don't get to be brands like that without doing stuff right. So if you're looking for something a little more widespread fit, that's probably a place to go. If you want something that's very golf performance focused, I think you're going
Okay.
to try our stuff again, whether it's a jacket, the long sleeve, um, Hyperflex, what the base layer unit. You're going to put them on and say, "This was made by golfers for golfers," and I get it. When I put it on, I feel that. Um, Not for everybody, but I'd say 90% of the market, that's what we're going after. So for a person that says, "Well, gosh, I couldn't use this to go skiing," I'd say, "I think you
Duh.
could, but just
Yeah.
don't go out on a -4-degree day." Then no, that's wasn't designed for that. So hopefully that answers the question. We're trying to stay in our lane and say for the
Well,
people who
you
really
have
want
to
something.
because you're gonna just spin your wheels and spend a bunch of money, and then which may or may not work, right? And then
Yep.
before it's time, right? It's all about timing. Um, Everyone's upset
Yeah.
because the Old Glory jacket does not have a large right now.
Sorry, guys.
That's kind of a
I,
compliment because no one wants to buy a
yeah,
jacket, and they're like, "Oh man, they don't have any Old Glories in large."
I know.
That's
I'll
pretty
be
cool.
honest with you. We did a very limited run on that, and it
Hey,
was again, it was polarizing. Either people are like, "This is the best thing I've seen," or "I'd never wear it." Welcome to
I'd wear
fashion.
it.
You're not going to make
Yeah.
everybody happy. Um, we did an outing for a group up in northern Michigan. I think it was 60 or 70 guys, and they got a jacket for every dude. Um,
Holy
it looked
crap!
so cool. It looked so cool. Yeah,
That's a
oddly
lot of
enough,
jackets.
we do a lot of business with golf courses who are doing like a member or member guest where they're tired of giving away a wedge with a dozen golf balls. The backpack is a nice fit because it's also waterproof, which is really cool. But I use it every day. I mean, it's my travel backpack every day. It's made out of ballistic nylon. But a lot of places will go like a jacket, a vest, and the backpack, and that's their tea gift for their member guests. I see people that got that 5 years ago. It still looks great, and when we go out to the different events, we'll be like, "Dude, this is the best thing I've had in, a decade's worth of member guests." And it's again, it's going direct, so they're not having to buy it from the retail locations, and then, how do I do a $250 tea gift? What do you buy them? Some small item, pair of cheap shoes or something. You can load up with us, which is pretty cool.
So all your sales are direct to consumer. You don't have any green grass.
We do have green grass, but it's direct to their members.
Oh,
So
that's
what
cool.
most
Instead
places
of
have,
marketing for you.
yeah. So most places have Mill River. So we just basically say, and just use general terms, most are cost plus 10%. That's what the members typically go through. So our green grass is we'll work with the pro to make sure we still fit under retail, that they don't have to mark it up, and
That's
because they
really
buy in
cool.
volume from us, they can get a
Yeah.
discount. So it's kind of a win-win-win, right? Member gets awesome uh, item, pro still gets to make their 10% margin, and we don't have to play in the retail space, but we do get green grass presence. So like it.
You should do like a thing where for pros and be like, oh, you use V1, you're gonna get a blah 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 on the Galway Bay.
Funny you should mention that, because we've looked at it, right? I mean, we're in the business,
You
especially
freaking
through
know
V1.
everybody,
We've got
dude.
it's expensive, and the return is tough
Oh
because
yeah.
tell me the last time that you watched golf when they were playing in the rain that Galway Bay would be. They don't usually do it because there's typically lightning in the area. They go to last year's coverage. There just isn't a lot of coverage for players playing in the
You
rain. But
have
I
to
will tell
remember,
you,
yeah, you have to remember that like, hey, they're still playing in the
and the
rain.
big brands snipe these guys. So Nike will basically throw into a contract, hey, by the way, you have to wear outerwear.
That's true.
Rory's never going to wear the outerwear, but on the one day that he's got to throw on Nike stuff. But I will tell you a funny story. I don't know if you remember when Tony Romo was playing in the Pebble Beach Pro Am that he hit that flop shot off the hospitality deck.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he hits it to like 3 feet. Everybody's like, holy crap, this guy's unbelievable. Tony's dad loves Galway Bay and had bought him a pair of our pants. He's wearing Galway
Awesome.
Bay pants when he hit that shot. No, we didn't pay him a dime, right? But he's because it was raining cats and
I
dogs
think in
that
the
day.
end, people just want to wear nice stuff, right? Like that does the job, and it's like, okay, now you get these conglomerates that jump in and be like, oh, wait, 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 wait,
Yeah, it
they'll
fits
throw in
better
the
for
one
us.
sentence outerwear, in the
Yeah,
contract. They don't fucking read it. They're gonna get paid millions of
no,
dollars. That's true. That's 100% true. You want to hear a story? This is a true story. My buddy owns a belt company, and he was on the tour for a little bit, and so in about the late 2000, like 2008, 7, somewhere in there, like he was on the tour, and so one of his friends, who's also famous, was like, "Hey, it'd be really cool if we had our own belts because nobody had belt contracts, right? Because who wears a belt in golf?"
right.
And so he's like, "You should make belts." That's what they were talking about, like just hanging when they were playing around. He's like, "That'd be kind of cool." And so he built a belt. He literally built a belt company, and like everyone was doing, like Ricky, everybody. I could probably find the website and show it to you. Like he has everybody on the tour literally wearing his belts by like 2012, 2013, right? Because they're all his friends. He plays with these guys. And so like these custom belts are really cool. And then all of a sudden, Titleist and TaylorMade, everybody started throwing the word belts in the contract. And his like nobody wears belts anymore. And they're like, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. Like, I can't wear your belt, even though I love your belt. I can't wear it because it's gonna be against my contract. Like, such bull crap, dude. It's like,
it's a tricky side of the business, right? Because golf, probably like NASCAR, is the most aspirational of all product drivers. That's why these guys have a Titleist bag, even if maybe they're not playing Titleist when you look in the bag. Um, it's about brand aspiration, and as consumers, we see it, and that's what we want to do. So it's an expensive place to play, and we're definitely not big enough to have to go
it's
buy it.
so
But when guys wear us,
it's
um,
exciting as hell because they
yeah,
chose to,
because
not
they chose to
because
wear it. Exactly.
that's the
That's the
difference,
best
right?
endorsement for us. They
To
chose.
you,
They had
that's the
other
biggest
choices.
compliment in the whole wide world. If they would choose you over, whatever it might be. And does it really have see, that's the thing too. It's like, do consumers really watch golf and be like, oh, Rory has a Titleist bag. I should get that bag. I mean, maybe because on TV, but I
The
mean,
data the data would say it does, but who controls the data? The marketing companies, and who's charging the brands to
to
place
put the
the
stuff
marketing,
on.
right? It's an interesting business if you really get into the underpinning of it. And Number one, we're not big enough, and I'd say for V1, which we are big enough, we still choose not to
Yeah.
play there. We'd rather be with 15,000 golf pros who use our stuff to actually teach and make a living, and 4+ million consumers that choose our stuff without us having to be plastered everywhere. So
In their
there's a
face
place to
all the
market.
time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's the I didn't realize that. I mean, with golf until like I went to the PGA show and I was like, "Holy crap."
yeah, yeah.
Like,
You get it front and center there for sure.
yeah, and I was like, that's weird." Like I spend my I like the small, the mid-sized brands because I always think they're cool, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the larger brands are it's kind of interesting, I find. Like the European brands are pretty cool. The Japanese brands are cool.
Hmm.
When you get to the United States, not so much. They just have their ways of doing stuff.
Well,
Like
we're
the big
30
ones,
million.
the big ones.
Yeah, we're 30 million person market, right? You look at golf, 25 to 30 million people in the golf market. That's not very big. It's less than 10% of our US population. So if you take golf as a relatively small ecosystem in the United States, you got to do some pretty bland, far reaching products to make sure you cover that market set versus European, Japanese, any APAC country. They've got hot pockets around and they could go right into those pockets and do some really cool, innovative things because they're just working in those elements, right? They're not trying to cover sort of mass territory with small market. So,
You guys should go. You guys should spend a bunch of energy. This is what I've heard. On Unless you're probably already doing it because you probably know this, is that Japan is like blowing up in golf right now. Like blowing up. I've heard from people that like some of the big retailers, like the not retailers, but the club companies
yep.
are making all their money this year in sales on golf clubs in Japan and Korea, like than the United States. Essentially, is what's
Yeah.
happening. Like,
What's interesting there is V1 doing very well there. The club manufacturer is doing very well there. Ball companies, not so much. Apparel companies, not so much. And the reason being, when you go to really anywhere APAC, but I'd say for sure China and Japan, and you say, "Hey, let's go play golf." You go to a driving range. They typically have a personal suite that they've paid for, which is kind of like their bay. It's got tea, it's got some sake, maybe some couches, and then you go hit it. It's almost like a Top Golf, if you will, but you own the suite, so you're never playing in bad weather. There's a little heater in there. It's always 70 degrees. So
I never knew that.
you're
That's
not buying
cool.
different apparel, which is so interesting, but you're using a
Or
new club
balls, right? Because they're
or
using their
balls because you're
stuff.
using the facilities. Yeah, so you're using the clubs for sure, and they definitely are looking. Okay, I want to record my swing. I want to analyze my swing. The technology for sure, but on the apparel side, it's really interesting. Not many can afford on a regular basis to go actually out to the golf course. So when they play
Why
golf,
is that? Is it super expensive?
it's super, super expensive and very limited in scope. So if you look at the number of courses available based on the population that plays, it's supply and demand would just tell you a round of golf is like 300 to 500 bucks. And for a normal,
Seriously?
oh yeah,
Oh man. Because there's like a YouTube channel I've been watching. Not watching because I don't understand Japanese, but like there's a YouTube channel. I don't know what it's called. It's a bunch of characters, right? And they get like it's like 5 or 6 people, and they're in Japan, I think, and they kill it. Like every one of their episodes, they get like 1 million views, and it's them just playing a round of golf, like it being silly and whatever. And I was like, "What the heck, man?" Like, like it's just that's probably why, right? Because people are like, "Oh, they get the," and they'll bring like famous people in Japan, right? Whoever they are, and then so like it was pretty cool to watch, but it makes more sense now because it's like it's almost like a luxury, right? Like,
yeah,
oh,
for
I would
sure.
love to go play whatever, and here it's like we just play wherever we want, whenever we want.
Yep.
I never knew that. That would make sense though. I wonder if bags sell pretty well over there. Probably, right? So you look all
Um,
fancy in your
yeah,
bag.
I knew the guys at Honma Golf, which obviously they're an APAC company. So,
Mhm.
but they have some golf bags that sell for $10,000, which is
Shut
crazy. And
up,
they're
for reals?
oh yeah, they've got sets of golf clubs that are 50, $60,000, 24 karat embossed. Really, like we'd say it's gaudy, right? But in the Japanese culture, it really is a sign of status. And so
Big
for
time.
them,
Yeah, it's like a
it's
fancy
like,
car.
yeah, right. It's a fancy golf bag with these really shiny golf clubs, and it's an interesting market over there
But then
for
they
sure.
can't hit him. It's like the guy that rolls up at the golf course and he acts like he's all decked out in all the new gear and all the new stuff, and then he like gets the first tee box and he duffs it, and you're like, "That's what I thought."
Well, a lot of them don't actually play those clubs. Like those are the ones that sit in their suite, but they're a trophy, right?
Oh,
And then they actually play like a version of those clubs that are five
you
thousand
know,
dollars. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
what the heck, man? We're in the wrong business.
I could have told you that, man. Being in golf is fun, but it may not
Yeah,
be the path
it's a
to
total
ultimate
hobby,
personal
passion
yachts and
thing.
airplanes. No way.
You should go into like something else, like I don't know, yachts.
It wouldn't be as fun. I've been there. It
Yeah, it's
isn't.
golf. I don't take any of this stuff seriously. Honestly, I really don't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all it is. Like whatever, you know. Well, I think Galway Bay is cool. You guys sent me some stuff. I haven't used it yet. Well, I should use it now because it's raining.
Yeah,
But
starting to get some rainy season stuff.
it's pretty legit, and I liked it. It's over here. I opened it up already, but I mean the price point's right on, I think, and I didn't realize that it's not outerwear like big. When I thought about it, I was like, oh, is this kind of like when you go hunting or you go out in the woods or
Yeah.
something and you have like
Yep.
that pullover pants, you don't get all wet. I was like, oh, it's gonna be hot as hell. I didn't realize it was like just a pair of pants or a jacket. Well, jacket's a jacket, but still.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
that's freaking sick. And then what do you guys have any big things coming out like in the next by the holidays or like do you think coming up or what?
We're starting to unleash some of the holiday colors, which you'll see. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking from what's new and out there, but definitely in end of 21, beginning of 22, as we get into the spring season of 22, all of our base layer elements will be out. And I'd say, if you're already a fan of Galway Bay, I mean, our pre-orders are crazy right now. And if you haven't checked us
Really?
out,
That's awesome.
yeah, it's great. I mean, we have a very, very loyal user base, and that's the other thing is that we don't our cost of acquisition per customer is probably a fraction of what other big brands have to spend. When we get somebody, they stay with us. And we've got guys who've had 3, 4 iterations of our pants. They're worn out around the edges or whatever it is. And we just love hearing those stories because it means it didn't sit in your closet and only get used twice a year. And these guys are using our gear, which is awesome. And they just come back because they know they can trust it. If for whatever reason a size isn't right, or one brand pant we made 3 years ago, there was a problem with the bar tack on the back pocket that like every 10th pair, it would rip the back pocket. If someone said, I've got the rip, it didn't matter if they owned them for a year, a month, whatever. We said, send them back. We sent them a brand new pair with the gift card on top of it. They just know they can trust us. Like we always make it right. So, we don't always get it right, but we always make it right.
That's all that
So,
matters,
yep,
right? Somebody wants to know: is there going to be any big sales this year for Black Friday?
100%. So yeah,
There you
especially
go,
with our new,
Chris. I
yeah,
can go buy some
Chris will
pants.
we'll be doing go to the website and sign up for the newsletter because it's our Inside the Ropes group. And so I will say Mike Brown, who runs Galway Bay from a day-to-day perspective, really does a fantastic job. This is not just a lip service newsletter. We really do try to make it worth it for the guys who sign up with us. Product testing, free gear, definite heads up on sales before they come. So like when those largers were getting ready to blow out on the Old Glory, we sent a note out to our inside group, which completely cleaned us out because the guys were like, "Oh shit, I don't want to wait around till the very end."
Yeah, don't wait.
Yeah, so it's always nice just to kind of be in the know, but for sure, Black Friday is a big, big time for us,
Chris just
and
signed
we'll
up
do a
for your list.
pre-release. Great.
See, Brian, you should go into sales. You just told somebody to sign up on an email list. That's like the hardest thing in the world.
Because I would do it myself, right? Again, if I don't want to sign up for a list, if all you're going to do is just include
Spam the
me with
crap out of me with like
every other social
crap.
media post you do, but if you make it so that I do get inside track information, and every now and then, hey, we're thinking about doing this new flex vest. We have no idea if we're going to produce it. We've got some salesman samples. First 3 guys that are wearing a medium, a large, and an extra large, ping us. We ship the gear out, and all we ask, you keep it, but all we ask you just give us feedback.
Look
People
at
love
that.
that stuff, and it's great for us, right? So that stuff I
That's what I
sign
do
up for. I
too.
enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you get honest. It's honesty, right? And that's what you
Yeah,
want. Like you
because
don't want.
feedback, which is like, if you guys ever make this, you're going bankrupt, So it's like, that's why
For
we're
reals?
asking. Yo, yeah, we've come up with
That's the
some
best
really,
comp.
really
Yeah, you're like, really?
stupid
Okay.
stuff that made no sense at all. Yeah, it's great to get the
Oh, I
feedback.
can tell you all kinds of stuff. I'm not gonna tell you on air, but I'll tell you all kinds of stuff that I would never do again. Like never.
Yeah.
I have a respect for certain things now that I never had before. I get a lot of those like, and I'm the guy. So like, if someone's like, "Oh, my something broke" or whatever, I'm just like, "All right, I'll send you another one." Whatever. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't.
Yeah.
Well, Brian Finnerty really is my friend, and I feel like I've known him for a long time. He's super cool, super laid back, super, super, super smart. And you guys need to check out Galway Bay because I learned a lot today. I didn't realize that it was as cool as it is. I mean, honestly, because hearing it from the man's mouth about how it works and technology and just everything. I don't know. You want to support brands like that. So thank you for being on the show. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode.
Yeah, and guys, I will say, Paul, this is true about me. I'm easy to get a hold of. So Brian at GalwayBayGolf.com. If you check something out and say, why'd you do this, or have an idea for that, that's how we get better. Hopefully you've got that from, the Q&A Paul and I just went through. We love feedback, right? It's really what makes us
That's the
great,
same thing
because
with
we're not
V1
some.
Sports too. Like,
Yeah,
if you
it's
guys
we do the same thing, right? It's the same values, the same mission. I always say leadership starts at the top. So if I'm not walking the walk, you know, awfully hard for everybody else below that to follow in line. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you again. And thanks for
appreciate it.
everyone who's on the live chat. I really appreciate it because you guys make it more fun, ask really good questions that I'm not even thinking about because I'm trying to just think of other stuff. So thank you. And I will see you guys in the next episode.